My girlfriend is super pissed that I checked on our female houseguest before bed. I originally posted this in /empathy_asshole, but apparently it was a little too relationship-y for that sub, so I'm seeking advice here. I'm also seeking validation that I'm not in the wrong here. So the other night my girlfriend had a friend stay over. We met at the bar after I got off work. Everything is super cool. We hang out at the bar for a while cracking jokes and drinking, and later retire to our place for more drinking and games, and general good times were had by all. So things start to wind down, and everybody starts heading to bed. Friend retires to my bedroom, while girlfriend and I get ready to hit the sack in her bedroom. We have separate bedrooms but will often sleep together in her room, so it just made sense to have the guest sleep in my room. Before I crawled in bed, I knocked on my bedroom door, waited for friend to say come in, and went to make sure she was all good before bed. I turned off my computer, asked her if she needed anything. She said no, I'm good. I wished her sweet dreams and went back to go to bed with girlfriend. Now she's all mad at me, and telling me that what I did was super inappropriate, since the guest is a woman and I am a man. I think that this is just common courtesy when hosting someone in your home, regardless of gender. Of course there was no weirdness or creepiness associated with our interaction, and we had been hanging out and enjoying each other's company all night, so I was not a stranger. As far as I know, our guest didn't say anything about it, and thanked me in the morning for letting her crash in my room. I am aware that women face unique challenges when interacting with men, and I try to be cognizant of that if I need to approach a woman in a vulnerable situation, or run into a female stranger unexpectedly. I absolutely acknowledge that there are many situations where a woman would be threatened by the presence of a man, but it seems to me that the circumstances surrounding this situation made it so that it really wasn't one of those situations. We had also been hanging out for hours and having fun with the girlfriend, and I felt perfectly comfortable approaching her. We were 100% on what you would call friendly terms, and I did not feel like I would be perceived as threatening. Reddit, please tell me if I am way off base here. Note: girlfriend had already given her a glass of water and an aspirin before I went to check on her. I was unaware of this. Additional note: I also should clarify that she says since we had just met that day it was inappropriate. They have been friends for years. I checked on my girlfriend's friend before going to bed. The girlfriend is saying it was super inappropriate, while I view it as just common courtesy when hosting a houseguest. Now for the top comments. It would feel a little odd if I was the friend for you to come into the bedroom if you hadn't had to turn off your computer. But once I saw you were turning off the computer, I'd feel totally chill and happy about it as the friend. Girlfriend sounds jealous of the friend. You said you were having fun with her at the bar all night. That's likely the real issue. Friend is probably just as pretty and cool, if not prettier and cooler than girlfriend, which is likely the real issue. You going into the bedroom was the icing on the cake. Girlfriend seems to have taken this as an admission of interest. Next comment. I'm a super private person. It would not be natural for me to do what you did, in checking on a guest if they were already sleeping in a bedroom, especially if the door was closed. I am not the hosting type. I have, however, dated a few men who were the hosting type. I'm a 33-year-old female. They would definitely do something like this with any guest. I chalked it up to different upbringing/tendency/habits. But there were definitely cases with each of these partners. I'm thinking of two in particular, in which multiple aspects made me uncomfortable. Like, it's not just that he checked on her, it's that she's beautiful and they clicked and I feel left out and he checked on her. You know? Your girlfriend isn't an asshole. She's just feeling insecure and frightened probably. All humans are like that, we just all show it differently. Next comment. I think your behavior saying goodnight sounds totally chill and fine. I would just reassure girlfriend how splendid she is and how much you love her and not other women. Next comment. How you act around your GF's friends usually. I mean, her other friends beside this one. Are you generally that friendly and caring? Or are you generally not as warm/caring? I mean, it is a nice gesture what you did, checking in both of your guests. But if you treat this friend better/more warmly than you treat her other friends, your GF may be jealous or feel insecure, therefore she said what she said. Or she saw how you interacted with her friend and suspected that you guys hit it off. So she assumed you were creeping on her friend pretending to be a good host. Or if I were to base it on my own personal experience, my ex never acted very considerate around me. But one time, when we hosted a female acquaintance of his, he acted very considerate and warm toward her, and watching that unfolded made me realize that he was nicer to other people than myself, hence I broke up with him. Or she knew her friend enough to know that her friend, whilst appearing polite and unbothered, would say something about what you did. And she's afraid you might come across like a creep when you're just trying to be nice/polite. I guess, context matters here. You gotta remember too, people are raised differently. Perhaps your GF experienced different type of courtesy by the male relatives/friends growing up, so she was not used to your brand of courtesy as well. Although I kind of think, if it were my husband, I would side-eye him, but then again, while my husband is very courteous especially when we have people over, that's not his thing to do. We've had guests staying at our house in the past, and he didn't check in on a female person in that manner. We always want to make sure people are comfortable, but yeah, not going to their bedroom for the night to check in on them usually. We made sure they had everything they need before they retire to the bedroom. So I can see how this can bother some people. At that point in the evening, she may have very little on, about to go to sleep, or sleeping attire and possibly in a more vulnerable position, so it may give the wrong impression. Next comment. I wrote this in reply to someone who deleted their comment before I could post it, but I spent a long time typing it out, damn it, so I'm posting as a top-level comment instead. You know who you are, delete person. I'm a married female and the girlfriend's response is ridiculous. He didn't go make sure the guest was all tucked in. That's entirely your choice of language and projection, trying to make this weird and creepy and a listen to women moment for the clueless male. Also, why are we okay with girlfriend infantilizing the friend and getting offended on her behalf? Friend had no issues with the interaction, or at least claims she didn't seem to. Doesn't the friend have her own agency as a woman too? I've been a guest in other people's homes, both male and female, and had them come see if I need anything before they go to bed. My husband and I have both done the same thing for our own house guests. It is a polite gesture, nothing more. Not to mention the fact that he needed to turn off a computer, which is smart for both privacy reasons and to keep the sound or light from disturbing their guest. Just because he didn't turn off the computer in advance doesn't make him a bad host. Finally, the girlfriend already checked on her friend, which he had no way of knowing. But if she hadn't, then it seems like his gesture would have been appreciated since she had needed a water and an aspirin. I have no advice for you other than to tell your girlfriend that while you understand she is upset by what you did, at this point you will not be apologizing to your GF for attempting to be a good host to your houseguest. If the friend feels the same way about you being inappropriate, however, you will be happy to apologize directly to her. Also suggest to your GF that the two of you have a conversation to agree on what is appropriate behavior and boundaries to be followed when having male and female houseguests. This puts the ball in your girlfriend's court. You are not responsible for her feelings, and she is allowed to have those feelings. However, if she wants to stay mad about this, she is going to have to talk to the friend about whether she was upset by you checking on her, which she may not want to do if she knows the friend isn't upset. That may bring her back down to reality. Next comment. I think a lot of people are missing that it was your room. I'd think it a little weird if it were a dedicated guest room, but I understand you were coming into your own room and just asked if anything else was needed. I think this is an example of not a clear mishap, and hopefully there is a bit to be understood on both sides. It's reasonable to be a little uncomfortable with it since everyone treats their guests a little differently, and may have different standards, But I hope your girlfriend understands what matters is you clearly didn't have any malicious intent, it was a minor understanding. I do think her insecurity made her overreact a bit. Next comment. As a woman, I think I would find it inappropriate. You put yourself in a private and intimate setting with a friend. I think it would have been more appropriate to ask your girlfriend if she could turn off the computer and given her the opportunity to check on her friend. I'm not sure if this will make sense to a man, but women can usually pick up on subtle clues that a man is into them, and if a man came to my bedroom at night alone I would feel like it's a hint. You mentioned in other comments that your girlfriend can be jealous, and I wonder what is the context of those situations. Next comment. I don't know, as a woman the computer part feels like a convenient excuse to be in the bedroom. If I was to put myself into the situation and think of what would I do or feel as the female house guest, then I would be annoyed at having my personal space invaded and probably have mixed emotions about feeling comfortable/vulnerable and creeped out about this guy I barely know coming to my room, because it is her room to stay in for the night. Yes, he knocked, he announced himself, and she did the obvious courteous thing of saying for him to come in. That does not mean she was entirely comfortable with him being there at all. Let's face it, it is 2021, we all know how to switch off a computer. He had no reason to actually step into the room. He could have quite easily called through the door that he was checking she had everything she needed, and could he do him a favor of switching the computer off, or if he did not want to ask her to do this for whatever reason he could have done it earlier before she had gone to bed, or asked the GF to do it for him. Next comment. To me it makes sense, but I also come from a career and life where technology and limiting access to said technology by people you don't know super well, and even then, is a big deal. I don't really know who this person is, and my computer has a lot important stuff on it. For most people that would include passwords to important sites. Many people have their computer remember logins to things they use a lot, paperwork that might have an SSN or other sensitive info, shopping websites that have card information saved. None of that is stuff you want a stranger having access to. That doesn't even touch on the fact that with the commonality of working from home now, many people probably have sensitive work material on their computers, or even have a computer issued by work. Yeah, I'm making double and triple sure that is locked down and turned off before leaving it alone with a stranger before I sleep. Next comment. It's a bit weird for you to be checking on her. She's a grown adult. If she needs something, she can get it. You may have felt 100% comfortable with her, but the fact is, you had only known her for a few hours. You don't know her well enough to be going into her bedroom while she's in bed. Of course she said come in when you knocked. What else could she do? If she said go away, you'd think she was being rude. You could have, and should have, turned off your computer before she went to bed. You may not have meant anything by it, but she probably was not completely comfortable with a man she barely knows inviting himself into her room, which it was her room for the night, to say good night. It's a little weird. If you two actually knew each other, that might be different, but a few hours doesn't count for that. Next comment. Your girlfriend is insecure and immature. I get really sick of the men are perverts trope on every single action a person takes. You were going to your room to turn off your computer, which is just basic technology. You were nice enough to ask if your house guest needed anything. You asked for consent and you were given consent to do so. It would be different if you knew way in advance she was spending the night and you had time to prepare, then this would look suspicious. But it was very last minute.